this?
Yeah, we can talk about it.
First shot,
let's go. This story is crazy. So I literally invested everything I had. So the first day back, I had to go to the hospital.
Dude, the excellent lore runs deep.
That's where it all started.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of The Excellent Show. Today, we have a very special episode.
Very special.
We're actually partnering up with SoundCloud.
That's right.
Did you know that?
Yes, I believe so. I was there on the emails.
Yeah.
I think I know what's going on.
So we partnered up with SoundCloud to bring you guys a very special episode. We're actually also curating a beautiful playlist for you guys that's going to come out as a bonus on top of this really awesome episode.
Excellent playlist. Partnered with SoundCloud. We're super excited to show you guys what that playlist is going to be.
Yeah, beautiful curation.
Perfectly picked sounds for lovemaking, right?
Yeah, or partying, whatever. Maybe a little bit of romance.
Yeah, there could be a little bit of romance in there.
Yeah. So without further ado, Danny, please, can you introduce our amazing guest?
Now that we know that we are partnered with SoundCloud, another personal partner we have with us is a very, very special friend, longtime friend. Many people do not know this. He is absolutely crushing it right now, one of the biggest up-and-comers. You got tons of plays on SoundCloud, you got tons of plays on Spotify. You were just blowing up, going viral on TikTok. Our friend and good, longtime, excellent supporter, Garrett Murphy. It's Murph is here.
All right, thanks for having me.
Yeah,
what an intro.
Is that good?
Yeah, I feel like the man right now.
You
I
are
can run
the
through
man,
a brick
bro.
wall.
Yeah, dude.
Dude, the excellent lore runs deep.
Yeah,
here,
we got a
dude.
lot of lore together. And obviously, like, for people that don't know, I mean, I'm sure that if you have TikTok, you got to know who It's Murph is. I mean, Garrett is just all over my feed, even before, which is crazy because we have an interesting history together, which I'd like to talk about a little bit. But yeah, man, I mean, you are just fucking on a fucking tear right now, bro. How does that feel?
Man, it's a lot. It's a lot of pressure all the time.
Do you feel pressure?
A little bit.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is what I used to dream about as a kid,
Right.
every single time. And I always used to say, everyone was like, what do you want to do? And I was always like, oh, I want to do music. I want to be a DJ and like just make music for a career.
Yeah.
And, I got shunned for the longest time. And now that I'm doing it, everyone is always supporting. But
everyone's like, I had your back the whole time.
Yeah,
right? I knew it.
It's funny. But, you got to be your own biggest supporter to get there. So now that we're here, our story is crazy.
Yes.
It's excellent. So it's a super full circle moment and podcast.
For sure. And like for people that obviously they don't know the story, but Garrett used to get lessons with me a long time ago. Back in I was looking back through our project file. So this is back in we started at like the very beginning of 2019 because I wanted to know when we started.
Yeah.
And at that time, you were doing, you were finding out what your music was, and you had just started at USC, which I think is really important to talk about your education.
Even a little before that.
Oh, was it before that?
It was my senior year of high school.
Damn.
Oh my gosh.
And I had just switched over from Logic to Ableton at Christmas of my senior year of high school because I started off on Logic, and I was like,
that's right.
I was super lost. You
Right.
know, the interface wasn't for me. Ableton, you get the process and you can see everything down below. It's just very user friendly on a visual side. So I said, okay, I'm going to start over. I tried the music production thing on Logic, not working.
Right.
What got Ableton? I had like $2,000 in my bank account. And this is like excellent. Was in almost you guys were in a little bit of a starting. You guys were
no, we
more,
were still very beginning. We'd been around for like 2 years.
Yeah,
we weren't like where we're at.
Not where you're at now, but even on the lesson side, like
Yeah.
it was way more like affordable because you guys are big time now. And so I literally invested everything I had into. I think it was 20 lessons.
Yeah.
Of
I
like
think we gave you,
$2,000.
yeah.
It was, you gave me a great deal.
Yeah.
And that's where it all started.
Yeah.
That is if I wanted to trace it back to like where my career, like I could say that was like the precipice, or this was that the right word? The start?
Precipice feels right.
That's it right there.
And which is amazing because like for me, when I and I'm not just saying this now, but when I had first I had already been giving a couple lessons, and I think you were one of the, and I was telling Parker, I was like, you were one of the first people that had bought a decent amount of lessons. And I remember telling Parker, and I was like, this kid, Garrett, like he's pretty good. He's got some good ideas. Like you always had a musical, I don't know, did you have a musical background before? Because you always had melodies and you were singing your parts too, and you were able to get your ideas out. And I just kind of helped you along with them as far as teaching you the production knowledge. But yeah, so like tell me about like your music background back then too while we're getting into this whole story.
Man, I sang in the choir in high school.
No way.
Oh
Let's
yeah. I played the piano. Nothing like super technical based, but just I had a grand piano in my house growing up, so that's helped. It just in terms of my sense of melody, and especially singing in choir, that helps my songwriting, my ability to write lyrics, and like, harmonies especially. But a little bit of guitar here and there. Once I got to USC, that's when I like really bought into the music side of things, and things elevated. Because when I was in high school, I was like 17 years old, and at that point, I had no idea if I was going to go into like business or music. And when you have no success in music, it's really hard to be telling people that like that's what you want to do. Yeah. Because they say, okay, well, like show me what you got. And at that point, like in Ableton and producing, I didn't really have much to show. It was like you got to go back to those projects. You're like, damn, like that's where you started off. Those are not. There's nothing really. Those like I would never put those songs out. They're embarrassing to even show. But that's where you have to start, right? Yeah. If you're not starting there, then you're cheating.
And I'm saying this like I think like listening back to it now, like I could, because it's funny because you started popping off like, I don't know, it's been like what, like 2 years ago you started getting a little bit of success, right?
About 2020 November of 2022.
Okay, so I looked at our last session that we had together, and it was in 2020, right? So it was right during COVID. And then, you moved on and did your thing or whatever. And I know we would still like text every now and again because we spent a lot of time together. So I would definitely like, every 100%. Now and again be like, what's going on or whatever. And then I would see little things on TikTok like, yo, that's Garrett's like got some stuff on TikTok. And I'm like, oh, is this just like hitting me up because we know each other, right? So I didn't know what was going on. And then I mentioned to Parker, I was like, this kid is like, he's kind of popping off, bro. And he came from XLNT like he started. And I remember a big thing that I noticed about you was you seemed like you were very, very invested in your education, like in the sense of like you were very, very much. I mean, the fact that you at that age was like, I'm going to take all the money I have and invest it into having us like help and teach you, and then on top of that get like an actual education with a school like USC, like that just says a lot about you as a person as far as like your value in that, and I know that you learned a ton from USC too, like that must have helped you out a ton as far as like learning how to write music. I remember we discussed Icon and all that stuff, so
I almost went to Icon,
right?
And I was debating because when I got into USC, I was thinking, because that's like after all of our experience, you guys went to Icon. Yeah. And I was thinking, shit, like this is really based on like dance music production, and this is what I want to do. But at the same time, I can't go to USC and go to Icon at the same time. Like there's no way. And USC was too good of an opportunity just for like a life experience too.
For sure, bro.
And whether or not the classes at USC taught dance music production to the level of Icon, it allowed me basically 4 years of, I call it like free play in terms of music production, right? Like, because I have so much free time. In high school, I'm getting up at 6 a.m. I'm going to class, and I get back. We had to play sports every time after school or doing extracurriculars. So I'm getting back at 6 p.m. and I have 8 classes every day, and I have homework. There's just no time. Like, and when I got to college, I was like, oh my God, I have so much time, and I'm surrounded by people that are trying to do it in different lanes, but singers, they like the pop forum the pop singers, pop program. You have the music production majors, and I wasn't even a music production major when I went to USC. I got into USC off a Spanish major.
Dude, no way.
Yes, because USC accepts to a major, and I wanted to go to USC really badly. I'm from Nashville originally, and I lived in Spain for a bit. I speak pretty fluent Spanish. I did like a bunch of service trips in the Dominican Republic. I used to like teach people in Nashville one-on-one, like who didn't speak English, just for free. I can't remember what it was called. Whatever. But I would do that all the time. So my resume really reflected Spanish. And when I got into USC, I went undeclared. And my parents and my family really wanted me to have like a backup plan because, like I'm saying, I had nothing to show for music. So you got to understand, like, you want your kid to, they're not going to be financially supporting me, right? So after college, at least. I'm blessed that they paid for my college. Like, I don't know what I would have done without it, which is just a huge blessing. But so I got in and I went as a music industry major. And so I basically had to reapply to, like, USC has all these different schools. I reapplied to Thornton. And I had some experience in music in the past. Like, we threw some concerts at my high school in Nashville. And so I was able to get in there. And then I took a music production minor on. And that was kind of the start of it all when I got there. That's when things really...
Okay, so now it's like, because I remember talking to you about the whole USC thing, and I remember being like, oh yeah, like that's like, in my mind, I was like, I don't think I told you to go to Icon or not go to Icon. I think you asked like my experience, and I gave you my honest experience of it. And then I remember you telling me, if I think I remember correctly, like, yeah, I'm just going to do the music program at USC. And I was like, but he wants to learn dance music. Are they going to really like have that? I remember having that thought. But now, you know, seeing on your TikTok too, it's like you're being invited back now to show. So I would imagine, like, in their eyes, they're like, we got somebody that actually is doing really well in music career, and it's in a whole new area. So for them, like, I could see how you could essentially be like a poster boy, like essentially how Icon had like Jaws and Nightmare and all that. Is that kind of happening with USC a little bit? Like, I don't mean that in a negative way, but like, are they opening more to EDM because of seeing the success of you?
EDM is such a niche, and I don't even think that the majority of the music program there knows who I am.
Really?
Be honest. Yeah.
Even though you did that class and everything?
Yeah, but those professors I was super close with, because at the time when I was at USC, I was trying to find, at this point, we started in 2019, I think it was. I think in my senior year, like the end, December, November. And this was now like 3 or 4 years later. So I had some music once I got to like my junior, senior year. I was like, this is starting to rival or at least be competitive in the space.
Right.
And so when I was getting ready to start teasing it, right, I became close to some of these music professors, and I would basically have them help me promote my stuff by allowing me to go in front of the class and show these things. And so that's why I became super close to some of these professors, especially one of them was a GE, general elective, and it was the history of EDM. And it wasn't, I don't even know if it was, I think it was in the music school, but it was basically a general elective. So you have all these people that don't do music and they're just interested in it. And then I basically would go in and show some of my songs.
So wait, is that where the viral clip came from? Was this GE class?
That was one of them, yeah.
Oh my God.
I had a couple
Well, tell people
classes
about the viral clip because they don't know.
Yeah, so there's a viral clip of you like at the top of the class, like you have a lectern right here.
Yeah.
And like you're like you're doing a PowerPoint presentation and you're like playing your song. And like everybody's like not really moving in the class. Everybody's like this.
It was so embarrassing to get up there.
But like, but that's school, right?
It's school.
That's like the school version.
And what are they supposed to do?
Yeah.
Right. Like, are they going to get up and dance? You know,
they're going to put some like
they're
lights on you.
listening to it, right?
Yeah.
But also in some of those classes, like the GE, these people don't really understand the production aspect of it.
But there's also like, I went to Citrus College and we had like a critical listening class where we would just sit there like this, listening to like classical music, and we're like, oh, there's a clarinet. We would break down all the sounds in the song.
I had one of those as well.
Yeah. So maybe it was kind of like that vibe, but like that translated into TikTok is just a gold mine. That's like such a cool clip, you know?
That's what's so cool about you as an artist. I mean, there's definitely like I feel like in the TikTok world, right? Because you're definitely in that vein, right? But you did something really interesting. Is like you almost like, I feel like yours is like partly documenting your journey through doing music and how, as far as like where you started and where you're at now. And almost like in a way, it feels like kind of like mini vlog styles. I don't know if you meant to do that, but that's just my impression of it.
That's exactly what I tried to do.
Okay, great. Yeah. Right. So you found a niche of like, okay, I'm going to use TikTok as a platform, right? I'm gonna sort of vlog my experience and share my music to the masses, which completely worked for you because one, you had great music, you had a great brand, right? And you had this awesome idea of using social media as a platform. Now, another form of people that do on TikTok is like what I've seen is like the meme sort of producing, right? There's like the meme TikTok producers, which work too, but what's interesting is what I find is that, and I'm not throwing shade at anybody, but like if I look at all other people that have like started on TikTok as far as like in our sort of lane, EDM, like your method seems to be the most successful. You know what I'm saying? It's like, because it's like, it's hard because like for us, it's like, oh, you can look at us as like YouTube producers, right? Or YouTube musicians, or you can just look at us as producers, right? And for you, it's like, I don't see you as like a TikTok producer. I see you as like a producer that use TikToks. But I also see other producers that are just kind of TikTok producers. Does that make sense? So I think it's really interesting how you use the platform to sort of set yourself up for success. Yeah. Am I just fucking going off my ass right now?
Well, I want to know how that whole thing, because there's a lot of experimenting that you have to do with the platform like that, where you try different things out and see what hits. Like, is that kind of like what you did, or did you get lucky?
I think you kind of hit it right, the nail on the head.
I did? Okay, so I don't feel like I
didn't want to be known as a TikTok DJ.
Right.
You know, and that was super important for me. And I think a lot of the reason I have success and people, you know, buy into me, I don't feel like I'm like not the biggest actor in the world still. I still feel like I'm a pretty niche. And if you know who I am, like you know who I am, and I feel like those people are supportive because they can see the full storyline.
Yeah.
And I think that's super important in terms of music, in terms of my brand and my personality, is somebody can watch those videos and say, I can see myself in those shoes. It's super relatable because it's not like I'm some crazy, I'm way cooler than you brand.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not posting like mysteriously. It's like, listen, this is what I'm doing. And people, if you like rock with it, like, thank you. Like, and like, I appreciate that. And I'm glad that like my music is connecting with you. But then you can go back even from now. It's like you start off, and I'm in college and I have nothing to show for it.
Right.
And so when those people are engaging with my videos and engaging with my music, they feel like they are like they can see my project, like their response having a direct impact on my career. And it's exactly what was happening, right? Those people are the reason I was having any success. And so you build that storyline. And I wasn't even doing it in a way of like, I'm like, I have this end goal of like, I'm using you. It's like, no, like those people are the reason I have any success. And I have a lot of those people that were there from the beginning still. Like I try to like keep up, but it's so hard nowadays, like on like DMs and stuff. It's just like flooded.
Dude, I feel you on that, dude. Like sometimes I go through different platforms of like messages, and
so
I'm like,
hard.
oh fuck, I forgot that there's people that message us on
It's
this.
never personal too. You know what I mean?
What's up, guys? Parker here. Quest for Bass is out now. I want to give you a little sneak peek. We got some super sick 808s. Snares are super sick. Rims. Full drum loops. I really like the breakbeats folder, man. They're all super original. These bass one-shots, they are absolutely insane. Vocal chop loops. Plus the bonus folder. So go check it out now.
One thing I wanted to ask too is like, have you connected with anybody on like SoundCloud in a way, as far as like as far as using that platform to sort of help yourself as an artist?
Definitely. SoundCloud I use it a lot nowadays.
Yeah.
Not only for my personal remixes, but I look at people's tracks on there because it's always fun in live sets too to incorporate vocals in different remixes, flips, and stuff. And you can't put those out on Spotify.
Yeah.
And so SoundCloud is the hub for, I think, culturally for dance music, and for it used to be for rap, right?
Yeah.
Like Uno the Activist.
SoundCloud rappers.
Yeah.
People like that, which is crazy. But I use it a lot. Like, for example, the other day I found some guy and I just hit him up on Instagram DMs. I got ghosted. But I was like, I love this song. He has like 1,000 followers on SoundCloud, super small. I think the song had 9,000 streams, and I just wanted to work with him. But I like sometimes I'll find gems in there.
Yeah, I always feel like that's
awesome.
how I found a lot of people. That's what was kind of cool about SoundCloud, is I felt like it was a good mesh of not just for the listener, right, for people that are going to find music, but also for the producer that's trying to build a community of people, right?
Yeah.
You don't really get that from other listening platforms, you know?
Yeah, you know what was cool? I had like a little SoundCloud hack back in the day where I would do like manual scraping of emails, because every SoundCloud profile has managers' emails. Sometimes if it was like a fake manager, it's just the artist email. So like I would go scraping in like pre-Excellent Sound days. And so that was my first email list, was like,
oh, really?
I was just going, I like hired my friend to just copy and paste SoundCloud artist email, you know? So like you could still do that today. I don't think that they hide the emails anymore. So like that's a kind of a cool, it's kind of a cool hack, you know?
I used to do that all the time.
You did the same thing too?
Yeah.
Oh, you guys are both smart.
You know what's crazy is before I had any success in the music side of things, when I was at USC, you had to take a class that was an internship. Okay. So you basically, for the full semester, on top of your classes, you took an internship where you go 2 days a week. And one of my friends had done this. He was a year above me, and he recommended. I had no idea what to do. I was on the industry side of the major, right? So I had to do something music industry related. And I went into this management company called Keel, and those are my management now.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah. So
first shot. Let's go.
This story's crazy. And so I went in there, and I was working for them for, I think, my sophomore year, for about like 6 months for the semester. And then I kept working with them because I really liked them. And what I would do there a lot of the times is I was trying to find, because they had a record label side of things, and I was trying to find up and coming artists and maybe collaborations for their management side of things. And I would use SoundCloud as the way to contact them, because their emails, you can't find it on Instagram, you can't find it anywhere. But on those SoundCloud bios, they would have either their management or something. And that was the way I would use to connect people for either the label side of things or collaborations.
Yeah.
And that literally just light bulbed in my head.
Oh, that's
Dude,
crazy.
how sick
Isn't
is
that insane? And then I finally was like, okay, guys, I'm going to go try to make it like as an artist. And I still had nothing to show for it. It's like the same amount of like 2,000 followers on Instagram, whatever. I didn't even have a TikTok going at the time. And then when I started having all this success, everybody was hitting me up for management, right? Like Lil Wayne's manager, like shit like that.
Damn.
But those, in terms of management, that's like your family, right? Like they need to be ride or die with you to the end. And those are like now some of like my best friends, you know, especially I've seen them. They work on Dr. Fresh. They do Louis the Child, Sunburn, a bunch of other acts. And I was working on those projects and I could see like how they were developing and really hands-on in there. And so it was the easiest thing ever.
Yeah.
Because they came in of a point of all these other people, management, were basically saying how much money can I make off of, this is a great financial opportunity, right? And they were trying to do it from a place of how big, like, can we grow your career, instead of like seeing it from like a money grab.
So it just made sense. It was like family already.
It was such a natural flow into working with it. Yeah.
And also
awesome.
too, like speaking of just like sort of like collaborating with people with that too, didn't you just recently get can we talk about this?
Yeah, we can talk about it.
The
I think I know
okay
Yeah, do it.
From fucking Justin Timberlake to do an official remix, right? Which you're posting through SoundCloud, right? What's the story with it? So can you explain that? Because that fucking remix is so fucking good, bro.
It's really
so good. John Summit's playing it too, right?
He was. I don't. Now that it's all on SoundCloud, it's not as for him. Like he had the reins when nobody else had the reins.
That's the thing with that style of like genre.
Sure.
It's like if once it comes out to the public, it's like we're not playing that shit anymore.
It's too cool for it.
Yeah.
But he still does on certain times. But yeah.
So
I made that.
Please tell the story.
So I was at Coachella, I think, after COVID, I think. First time ever going. Maybe I went to Coachella before COVID happened. But anyway, I was there. I was in the Do Lab, and Diplo played My Love, Justin Timberlake, just the original. Mm-hmm. And I was having quite the moment. You know, listen to that song.
Just like in the Coachella vibe, exactly. I can just imagine.
Yep. And I thought to myself, wow, like that could be an incredible, remake.
Oh, I love this.
Year goes by, and I was just feeling really uninspired. I was just trying to make like a lot of pressure with like the Food for the Soul stuff being super viral. And, I was going into sessions thinking like, I got to make the next hit instead of just making it for fun. You know, when you make songs like for yourself, that's when the best music comes out. And I was sitting on my bed and it was 11 p.m. and I found My Love. I thought back to that moment. And I was like, I'm just going to go, see if I can find the acapella on it. I found the acapella, and then I was like, wow, this synth line is like, this is the reason that I like really love the song. Mm-hmm. I remade that synth line, and then I stayed up for 9 hours straight till 9 a.m. the next day, and I had a full demo done. And it was just like clicking and clicking, and I didn't even have headphones on. I was doing it off my laptop speakers. Like made the entire song off my laptop speakers. And so another year went by. I played it at Club Space. It went semi-viral, like 400,000 views, I think, on TikTok. And we reached out to the publishing side and the master side, and because there was interest there to see if we can get it cleared.
Which is insane.
Right. And I was originally just going to post on SoundCloud.
Yeah.
Right? Because and I'll get back to this SoundCloud thing. They're still on the full length story of it. And so I went down that rabbit hole of like before there's any data on it, right? There's just this one TikTok video, and we got the publishing side cleared. But we didn't get the master side cleared. We couldn't get it cleared. So basically, that would mean
how would that? Yeah, since you have the degree in this area.
Yes.
So and like, honestly, they say yes to this, but no to this. Is that what happened?
Yeah. So every song, I feel like I should explain this to people watching.
Yes.
Every song has the songwriting side of it, which we call the publishing, and they have the master side of it, and that is the vocals, anything production related, and the actual audio file that comes out. Right. So you and I could write the song "My Love" on guitar. Right, and then pitch it to Justin Timberlake and Timbaland. They produce the master side of it. So we would have a split on the songwriting, publishing, and they would own the whole master.
Okay.
And so all the songwriters were good to get it clear, but that would basically mean I could use nothing of the actual My Love master. So I had to remake the synth. I used nothing of it. The only thing I was using was the vocal, right? And so I would have to get somebody to re-sing it. And you can't re-sing Justin Timberlake.
Yeah, that's hard.
And that's why you see, like, for people watching, you see like a lot of these songs, like, how do they get cleared? But it doesn't sound quite like the original.
Yeah.
Take Disco Line's Love Story from 2021, Taylor Swift, re-sing. The Laissez Woe Messy song that's been going, 'cause I'm too messy and I'm too. That was a re-sing as well, I'm pretty sure.
Damn, why aren't people hiring us to do the fucking remake shit? Fuck,
Well,
it's so big.
It's a very fine.
No, it'd be
it's
great.
a very fine line too, because you have to find a vocalist that can actually deliver it like how the
100%.
original was, or differently enough to evoke like a different emotion.
Yeah.
So it's a very fine line
It's
to
hard
do the remake.
too.
You know.
It's hard.
So you got the clearance to essentially remake the song,
Correct.
but also if you do remake it, are you allowed by getting the clearance? Are you allowed to say that it's an original remix?
I am.
Okay,
I'm
so
allowed
that's
to
also
put it
part
out.
of the clearance,
I
right?
could put it out as My Love, It's Murph. It doesn't have to say remix on it.
It doesn't have to say Justin
Because I'm
Timberlake
not using anything in the master, and the publishing's been cleared.
So you get cleared on that side. So
And
cool.
I tried to resing it. First of all, there's companies that do this all the time that like I paid $5,000 for this company to do a Justin Timberlake resing. I could pull it up. It is horrendous.
Oh no,
it was
dude.
it's so bad. And like I was like, guys, like, are you serious?
Yeah, like this sounds.
I could have done it with you better.
Right.
Like I could have melodined it and everything. It was one take through a like insane amount of auto tune. I was like, this is not anything. This is they're not even singing the right lines. Like the harmonies weren't even the right lines. And so they ghosted me.
Damn, they just took the money,
and they were based in the UK, I'm pretty sure, or somewhere European.
God,
and
so
I just basically got fucked $5,000. So then I tried it with my buddy Nicky Yor, who sings "I Got My Head Out the Sunroof."
Oh yeah.
Really good
Great
singer.
song.
He's like, okay, a little bit of Justin Timberlake vibe in there, and I tried it, and it just wasn't quite there, right? And so I just pocketed it. I put the song in my catalog, and I played it out at a few sets. Like 8 months went by, and the drums weren't quite there. I went in the studio. I even had my buddies, Twin Diplomacy, who we share a studio together. They came in. We spent like an hour or two on it, just kind of flush it out, did a little mix and master on it, and then I sent it to John. And then John was playing Veil that weekend of the Experts Only, and I said, "Hey, John." And I had met John a couple of times at this point. Nicest guy ever.
Yeah.
Like that's a
Would
whole
love
other,
to meet
that's a whole
John.
other story. He gets a lot of hate, and it's gotta be crazy.
Yeah,
He's
that's
cool as
insane.
fuck, bro.
He's like the nicest guy. He like wants to put up and comers on, and especially in house, like I'll get into it later.
Okay.
Like, it's a whole other story. And I said, "Hey, John, I just finished this Justin Timberlake remix. Could work great in the snow. You're the first one to have it. Just
Oh yeah.
you're the first to have it.
Just so you know.
Great sell. Great sell.
No one else has
You
it.
shot your shot. I love it.
And
you went for it.
I think I don't know if he responded that day or whatever. I don't know if he did. But the next day I see on TikTok, he decided the whole set of the weekend, the whole 3 days, he posts the My Love Justin Timberlake song.
So he didn't respond to you at all.
And
you just see the post of it? That's fucking
hard.
hard.
Or maybe he did, but I didn't see it. And all of a sudden, I get sent this. I'm like waking up. It's like 9 a.m. I'm getting sent this from like all these different people, and it's going like mega viral.
Wow.
And it went so viral that John originally posted the TikTok to his Instagram story, but then went, deleted it, and reposted it as a reel. And then that reel started going super viral.
Oh,
And
man.
the second that John had that viral video, I didn't wait this time to post it on SoundCloud. I did rip it on SoundCloud right away. Just right away.
Really?
Yeah, right away. And because I was now sending everybody, it's the only platform I can do this on.
Right.
And everybody's now streaming it and has a place to listen to it. And I put a free download link. And for the download link, that allows me I put a couple gates on there. So I put like SoundCloud follow, Spotify follow, Instagram follow. So then SoundCloud's like, I'm getting all these different platforms to go into one if DJs want to download the song and put it out. But then what that instantly did is it gave data to the song. And so now like the master side of things, the rights holder of Justin Timberlake's song, because that is a catalog song. So Justin Timberlake's catalog's owned by so many people at this point that it's like a process. Like I have to get it cleared from the original label, the US side of things.
God,
and
it's such a pain.
But I had like the title of the email. It's like John Summit times Justin Timberlake times It's Murph. Like, and so it's like everyone's like, oh, what is this email?
You push yourself very.
Well, I'm not even in it. Somebody else is like they're from their
nice.
side. And so there are talks of like, oh, we're gonna get it cleared because there's so much data now on SoundCloud. You know it's gonna perform well.
Right, it's doing well.
And it helps like
the
someone
numbers.
like Justin Timberlake who's about to go on this massive worldwide tour, right? It like helps. There's a moment happening on social media. Also, there can be moments in the future on that. Like, let's say the song comes out officially. Imagine putting this out there. You know, JT live performance. You know,
never
at a
know.
DJ
Just show
set.
up.
That'd be crazy. That'd be crazy.
You know what's Sorry, I wanted to interrupt real quick.
I'm just spewing. Yeah,
How-
feel
no,
free to
please,
interrupt.
This is amazing. This is what it's
how
for.
crazy you said that it puts stats and numbers to the pitch, to
Yes.
the product.
100%.
And I want to put it into perspective for the people at home. Like, even a giant DJ like John Summit or even like Diplo or Skrillex, if they made a remix, they still would have a hard time getting it cleared without the product and the stats from SoundCloud or from wherever it was posting.
Which you wouldn't be able to get anywhere else, most likely. I know there's other platforms that you could possibly post it on, but it sucks that you have to show the proof is in the pudding, and there's only essentially, you can't do that on Spotify. It's gone. There's no chance of showing like, hey, this is actually has the ability to get people to listen to this, but this is going to get into some ears.
But like you were saying on the SoundCloud side of things, the only way I think, because you could have a bunch of viral videos. I was just talking about that guy who on SoundCloud, I found him. I hit him up on Instagram. I found that song.
The YouTube
clipping.
Sampler.
Correct. The reason I'm bringing this story up is because that TikTok went super viral.
Right.
He goes and posts on SoundCloud, and it has 9,000 views 3 months later. So just because there's data on a video does not mean the song is going to perform well. So when you go on SoundCloud and you see the song has been up for 2 months and has 700,000 streams, on SoundCloud, like, you're niche. You're like, the SoundCloud's audience is a lot more niche than like a YouTube or
Definitely.
Spotify. And so 700,000 streams on SoundCloud could be millions of streams on Spotify.
Yeah, totally different.
That's kind of the pitch. We get there, full thing, finally get the okay, like last Monday that Justin Timberlake heard the final master and put his stamp of approval on it.
JT heard your shit.
And also JT's like, he's like the number one face in entertainment. Like, it's not even just music, like in time, like think about the movies he's been in, right?
Yeah, bro.
And so being
Alpha
with
Dog,
that,
bro.
Yeah, I'm like,
Dude, that's always the first one.
Alpha Dog, that was his first role, I think. He was hard as fucking.
Yeah, that movie was crazy.
Dude,
so
congrats, bro.
But SoundCloud is the reason that was able to come together, which is super cool that this whole podcast is coming, because it's been a big, this year, especially for me. I've been really dropping remixes like nonstop on SoundCloud. So I got that one cleared, and then I followed up with Empire of the Sun remix that I was working on.
I love that one, dude.
Yeah, that one's
that's
that one's like
jam.
almost like UKG housey big chord drop. And so then I followed that one up with the Never Be Like You Flume one.
Yeah,
and so,
I love the Flume one
so
too.
you're building not only culturally, because DJs can now have a place to download it. I'm not charging them money on like Bandcamp or something, but it's allowing me to grow my socials across Instagram, Spotify followers. And then you think about when songs come out on Spotify and stuff, then you have your release radar because now your followers are up there. So it becomes this full circle thing. And then I'm building my followers on SoundCloud. Now I went from like 0 to 27K in like the past 3 months.
And you get all this great stats too. SoundCloud's so great at letting you know what stats are going on.
You see people, like, I was looking at the My Love one the other day, and it's like your top 5 listeners. Someone listened to it like 465 times.
Damn.
I was like, oh my God.
I gotta find that person.
Dude,
I know.
that's so
I gotta
sick.
go shake their hand.
Yeah, like, here's the MP3, bro. Like, just,
Yeah, so I want to kind of rewind this back to kind of TikTok in a way, because I feel like a lot of people struggle to get out of TikTok. So something goes viral on TikTok and it does not translate to Spotify streams. So do you think that SoundCloud was the biggest factor in translating your viral songs on TikTok to actual streams? Or what would you attribute that to?
I mean, there was it would have no streams without SoundCloud.
Yeah.
Like, I think those moments would have happened on social media, but then there was no like landing page for it, right? And so then it has the moment, and the moment dies.
Or even your originals.
they have nowhere to go
They have
after
nowhere
that.
to go. They can't stream or anything.
Yeah.
And
So like even your originals, like there's big rappers on TikTok, but like you go to their Spotify and they have like 3,000 monthly plays, and it's like there's a disconnect between the two platforms. So what do you think helped you in that? Even with like you used SoundCloud for your remixes and flips, but what about your originals? Because it did translate from TikTok to Spotify. Did you do anything special or?
I think there's a couple of things. I think one is timing. Like, you have to be very like rolled out in the right way, especially when things are hot. Like, build up to the moment, drop it. Don't just like sit on it forever. And you got to have your stuff ready to go. When I had Food for the Soul, that I dropped it for the first time on TikTok, it was not ready. I just grinded it out. Like, spent the next 3 or 4 days and just finished the song. I think another part of it is music quality. Like sometimes you'll hear like a clip, and a lot of stuff on music side of things on TikTok, which is hard being like a music producer, because a lot of the songs I make are songs I haven't put out yet are like 6 minutes, right? They don't have a big TikTok moment. Yeah. Right. And so, but if you find that song on Spotify or something, you're like, wow, this is like an artist statement song. This is a really good song. It's like a piece of art, basically, but it doesn't have that TikTok virality. And so sometimes when you have a TikTok viral sound, it doesn't necessarily mean that that audio is going to be something that connects with people.
Yeah.
It's ear catching. You like latch onto it. You watch the video a couple of times, but it may not be something you want to stream, you know, and like listen to in your free time.
Is there a strategy behind some of the sounds that you're doing when you're, because now you've been doing the whole TikTok and
I
started like putting your favorite part of the song in and hope that that's the thing that takes off.
Yeah, I think that's the way I do it, because when I made Food for the Soul, everyone originally was like Stutter House. Yeah. Right. And I was like, I am not a Stutter House. I am not a Stutter House producer, because it has that like LFO thing. But I wanted to be. I make a lot of tech music, and I play a lot of like really techy sets sometimes. Like I played El Row once, where I play very, very minimal style, and I like making that style. And so like I do the melodic stuff, but I also want to have credibility in the house scene in terms of like cool minimal stuff. So I do songs like Down Low. I did a song with Solardo, who's like one of a UK legend, right?
He's awesome.
He did the song with Chris Lake, For Your Body. And so I balance those two things. But back to your point, if you're like creating music in a way of it for being for TikTok, that is just not that's not building a brand. That's not your sound, you know?
And I think that's the difference between you and maybe other people that are creating music for TikTok. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm saying, even if it's just it's not even the music, maybe it's just the content itself of like, here's me making fun of this or whatever. It's rare that you see that work. It worked with Crankdat. I would say Crankdat put on that funny viral.
He for sure is the best at doing that.
Yeah, but his music definitely, like, he's in the same sort of lane. But his thing is he took that Taylor Swift song in that moment, right, and then made this sick part. But the actual song did translate too, which is kind of what you're saying.
that whole thing was late. They could not get it cleared for the longest time, and it came out like 10 months after it went viral, and it got like 4 million views. But imagine if they got it cleared like right away. It would have been a smash, like 100 mil probably, or even more.
Hey everyone, we are super excited to let you guys know that we finally have launched our YouTube membership page. You guys can now join the Excellent Sound YouTube page as a member and get tons of awesome perks, like exclusive content for your eyes only, as well as access into our guest project files, extra sounds, extra footage, and get your questions answered directly from the pros. You'll also get some extra perks like badges, emotes, and priority comments and chat. But that's not it, and we've saved the best for last. We are gonna match your membership price with a monthly coupon to the Excellent Sound store, which makes your membership essentially free. You can use this coupon for serum presets, samples, project files, and even lessons. Becoming a YouTube member really helps out our channel and allows us to bring in more awesome content from our guests and from us. We have a few different price point tiers, and each one is better than the next. So click the link in the description and join our membership now, and let's build this community to be something bigger than we've ever dreamed of. Like maybe like getting Skrillex. I don't know, we'll try to get Skrillex. We get bigger. I feel like he might come on. That might help. Let's try to get Skrillex.
One point I want to kind of bring back to is what you kind of said earlier, and I'm pretty sure, because I usually do this with most people that I do lessons with, is you and I did talk about remakes at one point, because I think we went over Porter Robinson's Language, and like you said that you had to remake the synths from the Justin Timberlake song. Like, would you say like for yourself that like remaking, or like did you, because I'm trying to remember, we mostly you always had original ideas, like, but do you feel like that was an important part? I mean, you could be honest, I don't even like feel like you're having to like push excellent here, but do you feel like learning how to remake was something that was a skill that you were able to utilize in helping you in this remix actually?
100%.
So like, do you still practice that at all, or no?
I think that comes from sound design, right? And I think when we were remaking that, Language was one of the songs that really got me into electronic music, because I saw Porter Robinson perform it live at Vanderbilt at Rites of Spring, and it was like something I'd never heard before. Right. Like those big saw chords. And so I came to you in this lesson. I was like, hey, this is something that was super inspiring to me. I love the sound. And you were like, let's remake it. Right. And so from my perspective, we went in there and we remade the sound. A lot of it had to do with the melody line, a lot of the notes.
Yes, that's right.
It was like, wow, this is like really well written, and the sound. And so I used to sit and like at home, and I had this little notebook, and I would watch your sound design videos, and I would make myself do one a day, and I'd like write down the techniques of how to sound design certain songs.
Wow.
And so then like a lot of my stuff, when I produce it, almost every single sound in there is sound designed, because that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
If you want to put ideas on paper, and it's hard sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, and I flop a lot of the time, but when you come back to the remake, yes, like that is super important.
I noticed
making it sound good.
Well, that's awesome to hear that too. And I noticed that also with your TikTok videos, you're using a lot of like analog synths now too. So you've sort of taken your sound design out of the DAW, or are you doing like, how does that work for you when you're producing these songs and you're doing your sound design? Is it mostly analog, or is it both, or
it's mostly in the DAW?
It is. Okay.
Sometimes I'll use the Juno stuff as MIDI.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll play it in. I'll start songs. Like last night I was in a session. I started one, and I was on like a synth, and I recorded into audio, but you don't have the control. You can't automate the filters. You can't, analog sounds really good. You got to be a good musician to be a good at analog, and I'm not that good of a musician. Sure,
oh, dude, you're a great musician.
No, but I'm serious. Like, you talk about someone like Eric Prydz, like that whole stuff is like,
that's different. Yes.
Like that, the way he's
Chris
using
Lake
analog is unbelievable.
Yeah,
and I think even Chris Lake he does. He uses like that little like what's that called? Like the analog. It has like the zaps and stuff.
Yeah.
And he makes these crazy noises that work so well in tech. Like in the Yuma has that one, but I think that one's in like Synplant or something like that, or maybe it was Serum. But I know for a fact he has a bunch of analog sounds in it. But for me personally, I can't. Like I have sounds in songs that are analog, but the majority of stuff is in the DAW.
Yeah, you feel more comfortable.
I really like, my strong suit is automation.
Okay.
I'm like very detail oriented of how like things come to life and develop over time.
Again, like I said, if you ever have time, I don't know if we still share the folder, and I don't know if you still have it, but I still have all the stuff that you've done originally.
No.
Yeah. And I texted you.
Throw that thing away.
No. It was cool to go back on it, because I was like trying to like listen to when you're like how your sound is now. And what I noticed is back when you had started with us, you were doing like future bass. It was a lot of future bass stuff. Mm-hmm. So we were learning future bass, and we were talking about like the drums and stuff. And you always had good melody, and you always had a songwriter's mentality coming from it, especially with like actual like vocals. So you would sing on your stuff a lot. And then I checked our very last session, and you know what it was? It was the beginnings of a tech house song. Like it's the very, very last session. I'll send it to you after this or whatever. But it's just the beginnings of you doing more housey stuff. And then I put it together. I was like, oh, like you kind of like, if you really look back at it, I think, and that's why I'm encouraging you to do it. If you look back at it and look from where you started,
see it. And
I'm just using that because that's just a timeline. I'm not saying that's because of us or anything, but just like the timeline of like when we started and where you ended, and then hearing those sounds, I can listen now and be like, oh my God, that is Garrett. Like everything in your music now is still back in those days.
I wonder if that had something to do, because we were still working a little bit my freshman year of college too, and that was a transition out of Nashville into Los Angeles.
Yes,
when I was going to USC, and there's house is like dominant in Los Angeles, and I wonder if that had something to do with my experience at live shows, because especially when COVID hit, I used to go to these like underground warehouse raves.
Nice.
And we went to like Joshua Tree because there's nothing else going on.
Yeah.
And there's no shows, there's no concerts. And I wonder if that had a big influence on me getting into more housey and seeing things in a live setting and my development of taste and what I was into.
But it makes so much sense, like I'm saying, just like from somebody who just knew you from back that point. And then also also like I said, we would catch up, but I haven't talked to you in a while to really like talk to you. And at the very end of it, to see where you're at now, I'm like, dude, all of these elements were there in his music before, and obviously more so now. Another thing I wanted to ask you about is one thing that I've been noticing when I think about like, especially doing your style of music, me and Parker were kind of arguing. I was like, yeah, it's like to me, I'm like, you're like kind of in the tech house vein. And Parker's like, no, I think he's just more house, right? Like we were kind of like trying to figure out where you sort of land, right?
Yeah.
And one thing I noticed about all your songs is they all have awesome vocals. And I know that's not just from the vocalist, because I know you, and I know you know how to write vocals, and that you've been practicing that for a very, very long time. So one thing Parker and I were trying to figure out is, where do you find your vocalists, bro? Like, how do you find some of these people that are really good? I mean, for is it Down Low, or it's Down Low, right? Okay, so, like the vocals on that song, They are written so fucking well. They're so good. And I know you had a part in it. I know it's not just her. I know she's super talented too. But I know you, and I know you had a part in it for sure as far as helping. Where are you finding these people to collaborate with and sort of make these awesome melodic parts in your songs? To not just have these great groovy drops.
I'm so picky on vocals.
Good.
I am so picky.
Yeah.
It's because a lot of times there's so many writers, right? And they want to crank out songs in 4 hours, and you get in these sessions and you go in, let's make something. We need to have something at the end of the day for pitch or for you. It's just not how I work, right? I'm in the session for like 14 hours. I need 4 hours to record your vocals.
Yeah.
You know? And so it's just a matter of time. Like over time, when I was at USC, the Youthful Kids song, it was a pop singer, and she's one of my good friends, Lizzie Cameron. Unbelievable voice. I knew that, right? And for that song, I had written out I already wrote the whole song and the lyrics. I had her come in and top line it. For Down Low, I was in a session, first time ever working with Sarana. Unbelievable voice.
She's sick.
And so we started off the session, and there was a songwriter in there and a producer / vocal engineer. And so there's 4 of us in there. We're sitting on the couch, and the song starts off, like the first idea was almost tech housey, and they were like trying to do, like, one of the songwriters was saying, let's make it like I just remember this clearly. It's the vocal that they were trying to come up with was, you got to throw things at the wall, right? So this is no hate. Like, this happens to me all the time, but it wasn't for me. It was like, I'm a fireman, make it hot. And I have Sarana in here who's got this belty voice. And so I threw on my headphones. I went into Massive, the first time I've ever used Massive, like ever. And I found this like bass line. I wrote a 1 chord. And I wrote this like little like bass line that was like, it goes in the second half of Down Low, it goes like bum 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 bum. I had that over this, I think it was like a F minor chord. And Sarana plays the piano, so there's a piano in the room. While they were fleshing that out, we were going over there and we started jamming on it. And I have the voice memo, and she's just singing on it, she's singing on it. And then we're both humming, and then all of a sudden it's like da na 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 na. So
good, dude.
And we're
Such a great hook.
That's it, right? And so we start writing it, and I could hear and almost the syllables that she was singing when we got there sounded like that. So we got the I get high when I'm feeling alone, and then we wrote the next line, on a ride, I don't know where it goes. And they wanted to keep changing the lyrics. It'd be like, oh, it needs to like devolve. And I was like, you got to repeat it. I get high when I'm feeling alone. And so it just came together like really fast. Sarana's a great songwriter. She has a great voice. And we just, when things are happening, so we flushed out that whole song, the songwriting of that song, just vocals. We recorded for 8 hours. We did the break part we wrote just I think it was over even a 1 chord. Maybe we flushed out to have 4 chords, right? And I took that a cappella, and that's all I had from that session. And then the next day, I go in, and I was in the studio with my buddies, Twin Diplomacy. We spent the next 4 days. I was like, hey, do you guys want to work on this song? It's for my project. And we literally spent the next 4 days fleshing it out. We made the whole new song around the a cappella because the vocal was that good, right? Yeah. And so when a vocal is that good, you know the song. You can see the vision.
Right.
But sometimes it's really hard. Like, I'm very picky about vocalists. And you were also saying, sorry to get off topic here.
No, this is your show, baby. Let's go.
That you're saying I'm in a lane. It's hard for me to find what lane I'm in, right?
Yeah.
I have the tech house stuff, and that's how I have this like melodic stuff. And that's one of the hardest things for me because it puts me, it isolates me, right? I have no like ground camp. Like, I'm not in the Experts Only, Max Styler, John Summit, that camp.
Right. I'm
not in a Nimino, Laverne, like loud luxury like camp. I'm not doing like the super like commercial, or that's like Stutter House, and they also have like the more commercial stuff.
Yeah.
And it can be super isolating because I don't have like people where it's like I feel like I'm coming up with like I'm.
You don't have like your crew,
and especially in house, right? These people, like I'm saying earlier, with the John Summit thing, where he's willing to support it, but it's hard to like build connections when you're not making minimal tech all the time, because it's almost like they don't want to associate with you because you're willing to put yourself out a little bit more melodically.
Right.
And so, but at the same time, like, I think it's super cool to be paving my own path.
It's working,
you know, and at the same time, like, I'm not like a DJ's DJ. Like, I could go that route and like make it be super cool and cultural, but that's not how I want to build. Because like I said, I started off in the Porter Robinson language, but in a housey sense now, and then mixing that with what I love about like Chris Lake and like the Clooney's of the world. And now it's like going into like Beltran. You can see people, Chris Stussy. It's like now people are like really buying into that. And so there's a through line there that like I love. And, you know, sometimes I'll do stuff a little bit more melodic. Sometimes I'll do stuff a little bit more tech, but like my show, you'll hit like the range, that range.
I think that's like super important for a lot of people, because a lot of people make their own rules of like, I can only do tech house, or I can only be melodic house. And you know, I always say, like, do whatever your heart is saying to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like the cool thing about being melodic and techie too is you can play with both of them. You can play both of those kind of shows.
You can.
You can have a whole techie show. You can go and be all melodic, and you're not like,
I probably won't ever be all melodic during my shows. I need the techie stuff when I perform.
No, for sure. But like these guys, they don't have any chord progressions. They're they're riding in F the whole time, or they're riding in C the whole time. You know.
Yeah.
But I think that's really awesome, because like you come from like that songwriter's perspective into house. You know, like the people who I listen to or think about, it's like Disclosure. Like, were they a big influence on you at all?
Big time.
Disclosure,
Big
like,
time.
because they write songs. They're like, but they're house,
And they're dancey.
and they're catchy.
And
so
they
like,
work live.
yeah,
And you can listen to it in the car.
exactly.
Yes.
So
But they also have, instead of doing the tech stuff, they do UK bassline.
Right.
They do
Yes.
like the garage. The garage is almost a little housey, but they do that bassline stuff where that's like my tech. You know,
You got to have
So,
that bass line drop in there.
I
But you
know,
got those
I'll play
cool
it out a couple
sounds too.
times.
Yeah.
I mean,
So like for you, like to you know, like when you're creating a lot of your music, like what are some of your go-to like sounds, whether it be samples or like you know, for synthesizers? Like what do you? I know we're gonna do a production segment probably after this, but I'm just kind of curious for the people, like when you're building out your songs and stuff, like what type of sounds are you using?
in terms of VSTs or
Yeah,
what do you wanna go?
VSTs, samples, anything. Like how is like what is your brain? Do you have like a go-to, like I'm going to this like pack, or like I'm going to this synth? Is it just very much just like, because you said you opened up Massive and you'd never opened it before, really?
Yeah. I'm all about like finding. Sure, I use Serum all the time,
Right.
And there are chords that I've used in songs that I'll reuse in other songs, and so they have that style of stuff. But when I'm going into making a song, one thing I do is I always do drums and audio. I used to do it all in MIDI.
Yep.
When we were working, we did it in MIDI. I do it all in audio, and I don't use almost any loops in any song.
Really?
Like almost never.
Damn.
And the
Even
only
top
time,
loops.
the only
impressive,
thing
bro. I
I'll
don't got
ever
the
use is
patience.
sometimes on top of my loop that I make, like from my hats, claps, off shakers, and everything, I'll put a shaker loop in, or like a top, like to fill out perk loop.
Yeah.
Like, that's about it. One of the biggest things in our lessons that I use all the time is I resample sounds to fill out songs from songs that I have in there.
Nice.
Like vocals and stuff. We used to do this all the time where it was OTT and reverb.
Yeah.
That is the best trick
Let's
I
go.
have ever had, because I use it in
Yeah.
every song. You can pull up in every single song. You can hear it
The
all over the
atmospheric
place.
fillers. I remember that.
Yeah.
You loved that thing where you
Yeah.
just add a bunch of cool
Because it
reverb.
fills out the song like crazy, and you're basically creating effects without dragging in risers and
Yes.
stuff. I'm trying to think what other samples and stuff. No, I don't use a lot of samples, to be honest. So it's like I get the drums going. I'll do a bass line in some sort of VST, sometimes Serum, Trillion. That Arlo put me on that.
Oh, nice, dude.
Some stuff like that. But yeah, it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Get a good vocal, get some good chords if I'm doing chord style song, and rip it from there. See where see where the wind takes me.
Yeah, you're definitely a big chord guy. So it's just like you don't like. I know like Nightmare is like somebody who like I've heard him talk about how he always like starts with like a grand piano. You know what I mean? So you're just kind of very much just like you don't have necessarily like I know you use Serum and shit, but you don't have like a go to like I'm gonna open up this synth to do the bass line or anything like that. That's cool.
Sometimes if
Yeah.
I'm like I'm going for this style bass, sometimes I literally last week or 2 weeks ago went through like 10 projects and created Ableton racks out of bass lines and stuff. So it's like,
Oh, okay.
I want to get to this sound quickly. I know this bass, and I can always go back and change it, but in sessions and stuff, it really helps.
So you do save a lot of your old like stuff that
Just
you've made.
recently.
Yeah,
Just recently,
that's
yeah.
smart.
Kind of helps you with your signature sound too.
It does,
Like you
yeah.
go back to things that work.
And I think it's really cool that you brought that up to the audience too. Is like a lot of times like, and I'm not saying that this is bad, because like there's definitely two styles of like there's a workflow style where it's like I'm just gonna drag in a white noise sweep. You know what I mean? It's a white noise sweep.
Yeah.
But if you take the time to make like really cool like atmospheric reverb throws like for that song and that song only, it makes that just like a little bit more special. Sure, it's more time, but it also makes it a little bit more you. It was made by you. Granted, some people can't make everything, but there's definitely certain things that anybody can watch a tutorial and know how to do every time. You know what I'm
you
saying?
need those white noise sweeps too, though.
Yes, for 100%.
I use them in a more of a subtle way,
Right.
and I use crashes and stuff. You're not making that from scratch.
Right.
Like you can, but like I'm not spending the time.
No,
to do
you're
that.
gonna you just
I'm using
pick one.
sub drops on Cashmere's,
Right.
Like on whatever that folder's called.
Yep.
You know, so
Yeah.
and everyone does,
Right.
You know, because it's quick and they sound good, and you're not gonna get any better than that.
But I will say with the reason why I'm asking this too is especially with house, like, and I think we are like, I could say like Parker and I land in the house vein quite a bit, and a lot of people know us for bass music, but we really enjoy making house music, like, because it's super fun. But what I've noticed is like whenever I'm sitting with like a house like producer, like somebody that's like solely does a lot of house music, is I'm always thinking like, what are you using for your bass line, and then what are you using for your open hat? Like that's like the main thing is like, what are you using for your open hat, and sometimes your kick I'm always really curious about. So I was just wondering if you had like a go-to thing where like, oh, like I always use this open hi-hat, you know, because you listen to John.
There is
Summit.
one hi-hat that
What
I
is it?
use, and I can't tell you.
You can't. Okay.
No.
All right. Sick.
But with that being said,
I love
use
that,
it.
though.
I
I
use it a
appreciate-
lot. I use it a lot, but I layer it in with 3 other hats every time.
Right, like that's a thing in your lane. I'm not, like I said, I wouldn't consider myself a tech house producer. Like I do it for fun sometimes.
Yeah.
But that is a thing where you are a little bit like, is that true? You guys are more protective about your open hat? Like, is it just the open
I
hat?
mean, I'll send it to other people. The only reason I don't want to do an open hat is because if they use it and they just use that open hat, and I was using open hat, it'll flange. So like it'll phase issue when we're DJing songs, and I don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
But like I work with Arlos. We've started working in December. He's a really talented producer, and man, we share everything with
That's
each other.
awesome, yeah.
Like all of our chord sounds, everything, because it's not about the sound.
Right.
You know, that's like that language song. We had that Serum preset.
Yeah.
That melody line was crazy.
Yeah.
I was like, the
That
fact that he
made
came
the
up,
the
it
sound.
made the song. It
Yeah.
made the sound, yeah. So, like, you can have the best sound in the world. It doesn't mean you're gonna make a good song.
Right.
It doesn't mean you're gonna make a good vocal. Like,
Yeah, dude.
and I don't make good ones all the time because you have to throw shit out the wall all the time, right?
The BROSTEP world has fallen into chaos. There is only one redeemer, Excellent Sound. The best BROSTEP pack in the industry. Hard-hitting drums. Abusive basses. 50 bonus Serum presets. Are you sold yet? Grab your parents' credit cards and buy 5,000 copies of BROSTEP Volume 1. What are you doing, Step BROSTEP? Cancel your Splice subscription. Buy BROSTEP Volume 1 today.
So I wanted to bring this up before we go into the production segment. I don't want to be the genre police or anything, you know. It always falls on me talking about genres, but
Let's go, bro.
I really love the YDG remix of your track.
Yeah.
Do you ever drop that live
All the time.
where it's like
All the time.
because I always see like John Summit dropping some nasty dubstep or nasty trap. Like, do you ever throw that live into your sets?
Also, man, the thing about the house thing I was telling you about earlier is that you can get some sticklers in house.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
And it's funny because the biggest names are always the nicest. Like
Sure.
John Summit's the nicest guy ever always been to me. Like even like Odd Mob, the #1 like freaking he has the #1 Beatport DJ. Everybody wants to play his songs.
Yeah.
He's supporting like every genre, right?
That's dope.
And
For
so
sure.
with that being said, I sometimes in the bass scene I found some of the nicest producers ever. And I've like been attracted to like being friends with those people, like Levity, for example.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they're some of my best friends, and I've met through them like Super Future and all these super talented people. And so I get all these tracks, you know what I mean, that are unbelievable. And like
Yeah.
for example, in January we did a tour through Aspen and Copper, me and Levity.
That's so
And we
sick.
played all these like après skis, then we played Belly Up
No
together.
way.
And so the way we structured those shows is I was like, it was a co-headline, but I'll start and I'll play like house for about an hour, 2 hours sometimes. And then they come in and they kind of pick up the energy where I leave off. And by the end of my sets, a lot of times, because I do love bass music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love garage too. And like that just a little bit more up-tempo from house. But obviously there's a time and a place, like in the venue and what you're doing and what festival you're playing.
Yeah.
But I throw in a lot. sometimes, but it's not like the majority of the set. It's like you earn it by the end of it.
Yeah.
Like, and it's nice to switch it up a little bit.
And
I
how's
like that.
how's the
You earn it.
reaction?
Yeah.
How is the reaction? Do the college kids go crazy?
Yeah, I'd say it's a mixed reaction because some people are. But for the shows that I'm playing, for people that like are listening to my project, you're listening to like kind of the both sides of it, so it's not that crazy. You know, they like I would say the majority of people enjoy a little bit of change up at the end.
Totally.
And especially if you're playing for 2 hours, like it's not like I'm playing bass for more than 10 minutes because those drops happen fast.
Yeah.
You know, and for me as a consumer, I love bass music, but like doing more than like 2 hours of it, I get tired.
Yeah.
You know, and the good thing about house is you can just groove. Like you could
play
get a
5-hour sets in
you
house.
I played Space, Miami. You know,
Really? You
yeah.
played a 5-hour
I
set or
played
some
4
shit?
hours at Space.
Damn, that's crazy.
And I was in like the underground part. And next time I go back, I want to do the terrace. In places like that, I'm not playing bass ever.
Right.
You know, because that is not
the
the
snobs,
vibe.
it's the elitists.
Well, it's not
like-
even that. It's just not the vibe for that venue.
Yeah.
It's not like people are like they just don't want that there, and I don't want to play that there.
Yeah.
You know, you're playing for long-winded style sets, and you're taking people on like a journey. Like you're not throwing the BPM up to 150 and then dropping it back down. You know?
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense.
Those kind of sets, I do love like DJing more progressive house where it's like 3-minute builds or like a 1.5-minute build, and then you're like something happens and then you go back and it's like, you know, it's really fun to DJ, you know?
House, I feel like, is harder to DJ because I feel like you have to play so much more of the song than bass music. I just like, I feel like I'm not doing anything.
The hard part of being a house DJ too is in bass you're getting visual reactions from the crowd and on social media and content. And one of the biggest things I learned as a DJ and a producer is just because people aren't jumping up and down does not mean they're not enjoying the set and having fun.
That's a good point.
And like a lot of times people get caught up in the mindset of you're playing in one of those sets, you're playing for an hour, and people are grooving with just because they're not like freaking going crazy. Like that doesn't have to be. And they get in the mindset, I need to play a crowd pleaser. I need to play a crowd pleaser. Mm-hmm. But sometimes the best way to like please the crowd are playing songs that they don't want it. They don't know that they want to hear. Right. You know. And when the second you throw in a crowd pleaser, like that's too much of a crowd pleaser and it throws off the set, you lose that original built up. Yeah. Like first 40 minutes that you played.
Totally.
So people like dynamics. It's just like a song. There's highs and lows. And I think about that too when we're DJing, because there's definitely a time to be like, if we're doing bass music, it's just fucking banger after banger after banger. But you do need those points to where there's like, maybe people want to just have a moment to just
breathe.
Take it, to breathe, or to sing along or something, you know. But I definitely find that like house music is like difficult for me to like understand. I mean we play it all the time, but I'm constantly like, how long do I sit here and allow this song to play out? Like, do you play like 2 drops? Like when
it depends how long the set is.
Okay, so if it's a long set, you'll play like a minute half of.
Sometimes I'm playing 3-minute songs. Dude, like a lot of the time.
You just let it go, and you're just kind of you're just there.
Sometimes I'll mess with the RMX, do some snare builds.
Yeah.
Also, like I'm saying this.
Messing with the RMX, dude.
Oh yeah,
that's
I see that. You
huge,
use that a
bro.
lot.
I use it a lot.
Is that on your rider?
It's on my rider.
Let's go.
So sick.
The V10, 3000s, and RMX.
Nice.
Also, but I was gonna say is I'm saying this like I'm some expert house DJ, and there is no like, do not get that like mindset of I'm saying this as like some snob. Like I'm just giving
think
you
you're coming off that way at all.
But no, but you know people are gonna watch this and be like, oh, this guy fucking makes melodic music and trying to tell you how to DJ. It's like no, I'm just like saying from someone who views a lot of sets, this is what I've noticed. Right. You know.
I think that's great.
Because I go to now I've been touring for now 2 years nonstop. I see like 3 shows a weekend, you know, or 2 shows a weekend. I'm playing. It's exhausting. Yeah. And with the bad back, with the bulge, sitting on flights and then going transport to the shows and back, and if you're drinking all the time, it's like you gotta
tell us about the bulge.
Oh yeah, tell us about the bulge, about the 8mm.
To get you your special pillow.
Oh, do you want me to tell that story?
Yeah. Tell us about the bulge.
What happened, bro? What happened to your back? Tell the people.
Well, my back is bad. First of all, I have a bulging disc in my lower back, and it basically touring is the worst in terms of the pain, because you gotta I like to jump around a little bit on stage. I like to dance. I always have the mindset, if I'm not dancing, how is anybody else gonna dance? Yeah. So basically, I get back to LA and I'm at my new spot, and there's a rooftop at our spot. And I get back at 12 a.m. This is about 10 days of being moved in. And so on the stairs up, so it goes like second floor, there's these staircases, and you get to my room, and there's the stairs that go to this roof. And there's a skylight right where those staircases were. And when they were moving my bed frame up, I didn't know this. The movers knocked the light off of where the skylight goes down, so there's no glow up there. So I get there, and I'm thinking, I want to check out this roof. Look at this nice, this is great. We got a little rooftop action. I take one step outside, and literally a foot in front is this plastic skylight. And my foot like steps on it, and it breaks through. And it was like a 25-foot drop onto this like metal railing. I might have been like paralyzed or quiche. But I caught myself because my momentum was going forward, and my like right hip like swung and like hit like this nail and like gashed over my hip. But that's where I think I tweaked my back. So the first day back, I had to go to the hospital, get stitches at like 1 a.m. I was welcome back to my new apartment.
Jesus, bro.
Because they couldn't see a glow.
Wait,
Yeah.
so
Supposed
you're
to be
saying,
glowing.
like, so you're on top of the roof and you don't see that there's a hole?
No. There was a plastic casing, but it's pitch black outside,
okay.
and there's no glow because they knocked out the light.
I see.
And so I took it, and it was 1
you
foot
came
out.
right
So I
through
took
the-
1 foot, one step. My next step was onto the plastic skylight because I was looking out. I was like, look at this beautiful
Oh my God, bro.
like, view of Santa
That's
Monica.
crazy.
25 foot down. So now you
Or-
fall through
yeah.
the house and you're.
Because I'm on the 3rd story and I was going down to the 1st floor.
Oh, you fell through the. To the hole.
No. I caught myself,
Okay.
but I'm saying the way that I tweaked my back and my hip swung and I'd like pull myself out. It was,
Jesus, bro.
That's where it all. That's where it
insane.
Glad you
started.
didn't die, dude. That's fucking crazy.
No, it was quite the story.
So how long ago did that happen?
Like November, and now it's been like 5 months. And
Are you doing any rehab for it or anything? Or?
every day, an
Yeah.
hour a day? I'm gonna do it after this. It is bad though. Like,
Yeah.
To the point where I was considering surgery, but any surgery near your spine.
Oh,
is just
dude,
not
yeah.
what you wanna
Back
do.
surgery, I feel like
Yeah.
makes people worse a lot of times, dude.
It's
It
not
fucks
guaranteed.
you
You're
up.
not guaranteed to get better.
Yeah,
you know,
ever.
so.
Yeah, it's rough.
Dude, what a great story, bro. What a fucking full circle moment. Dude,
It is
so
full
happy to
circle.
have
Incredible.
you here, bro. So happy to have you in the studio, have you back into my arms, back into this. Now the student will become the teacher.
No, I don't know about that. I don't think we'll ever get to that point. Unfortunately, you guys are way too talented.
No, bro, you're sick as fuck, and we're so happy for you and where you're going in your career. And just shout out to you, bro. And what do you got going on that people should know about? Something that we can tell them that you're excited about.
I'm playing like a really big headline tour this year.
Nice.
Like my biggest one to date. Bigger venues. I'm bringing in. I did LA Palladium, sold out.
Bro,
Yeah, that's
we
nuts.
brought like flames inside. I lost so much money on that show
Let's
because
go.
I'm bringing in massive production.
Yes.
right? And then I think this year, now that I've gotten to a point where I have a little bit more of a catalog, people that I want playing the shows are more willing to play them as support.
right.
You know, and so I think the shows that I'm putting together for this fall are going to be bigger venues with bigger production, with cooler, like, with just more acclaimed acts
Nice.
that I think fit really well into the brand. So that's what I'm really excited about.
Dude, that's
I got
awesome.
new music coming out, the My Love Justin Timberlake soon. I got a bunch of songs I'm just sitting on, decide what to roll out, but I want to put that song out next,
Yes.
especially after all this. I've
That's
been
so
sitting on it
exciting,
Let's
dude.
sign that dang
It for
paperwork.
sure is going to
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
I know it's
Let's
going
make
to
it happen. Let's get that clip viral. Hopefully, we'll
Oh,
get
yeah,
JT
dude.
to notice it. You know, but dude, yeah, you're killing it, bro. Keep doing what you're doing. You're super stoked for you. I try not to say proud because saying
should say-
proud of you is a weird thing that Parker explained to me, which we'll go into later. But I am very proud of you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I wouldn't be who I am without you guys.
No,
Genuinely.
you're-
No, genuinely.
Thank
Think
you, bro. I
about it.
appreciate that.
Like,
Yeah.
so I appreciate you guys for having me on. I felt very special when you guys and grateful to.
You deserve
for
to
the
be here, brother,
opportunity.
and deserve everything you're getting. And very special shout out to SoundCloud
Yep.
for
Oh, yeah.
making this episode possible. Obviously, SoundCloud has been a big part in our careers and obviously helping out
Huge.
you. And we just want to thank them very much for partnering with us on this awesome video. And hopefully, we'll do more in the future.
We
Definitely.
should work on some music.
Yeah, we should
Oh,
definitely
yeah,
do that,
dude.
bro. I'm down. Yeah, it's
we
been a
could
minute.
make some. We could make
Let's
something
bring out
stinky.
the old shit, dude.
No,
Let's bring
no,
it-
no. Let's bury that. I'll
but-
bring in a vocal and let's cook it out.
Yeah.
Let's go,
dude.
dude. All right, cool. So thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like the video, subscribe. You've been watching the Excellent Show. Thank you, Murph. Love you, bro. Let's get into production,
Yeah,
bro. We'll see you
huge.
guys in
Let's
the
do
next
it.
one.
Okay.